Ever pondered on the intricate workings behind the preparation of the human body for the plausible event of pregnancy every month? This intriguing mechanism is known as the menstrual cycle. The entire process is an integral cog in the machinery of human reproduction and has been segregated into 4 distinct stages. Each stage is characterized by its exclusive set of hormonal upheavals and physiological metamorphosis. The first stage is the menstrual phase, a phase of shedding and renewal, where the body expels the endometrial lining of the uterus, preparing for the advent of a potential new cycle. This process, also termed as menstruation, leads to vaginal bleeding, marking the beginning of the menstrual cycle. Transitioning from this is the follicular phase. In this phase, a new ovum embarks on its journey, nurtured meticulously inside a structure known to us as the Graafian follicle. This follicle, a term picked from the pages of the Class 12th NCERT, secretes the female hormone estrogen, priming the uterus for possible pregnancy. Next comes the stage of ovulation. This pivotal moment signifies the release of the mature ovum from the ovarian follicle, prepped and ready for the process of fertilization. This is where the magic happens, as the egg is released into the fallopian tube, eagerly waiting to be fertilized. Lastly, we arrive at the luteal phase, a stage of anticipatory preparation where the body gears up for either the implantation of a fertilized ovum or the onset of a new cycle. The corpus luteum, a structure formed from the ruptured follicle, secretes progesterone, a hormone that maintains the thickened uterine lining for a possible pregnancy. This is an epitome of transformation and renewal, a truly remarkable cycle that showcases the miracles of human reproduction. So, let's delve deeper into these stages one by one to comprehend the elaborate interplay of hormones that brings this cycle to fruition. Indeed, the menstrual phase is a multifaceted part of the reproductive cycle for most women. It marks the initiation of the menstrual cycle, commencing on day 1. During this phase, the female body experiences a phenomenon known as menstruation, which involves the exfoliation of the endometrium, or the inner uterine lining. This is a physiologically normal part of the reproductive cycle that readies the uterus for a potential conception and gestation. But let's examine this more minutely. What propels this biological process? The answer is rooted in the intricate endocrine system within the body. 2 principal hormones, namely estrogen and progesterone, play a significant role. These hormones are the driving force behind the regulation of the menstrual cycle and the preparation of the female body for potential gestation. During the menstrual phase, the concentration of estrogen and progesterone in the body is at a nadir. This decline in hormonal concentration induces the degradation of the thickened endometrium, which has proliferated throughout the previous cycle in anticipation of a possible gestation, leading its subsequent shedding. This endometrial shedding is recognized as menstruation. However, the menstrual phase is not merely about endometrial shedding, it's a phase of rejuvenation and preparation. Concurrently, as the old endometrium is expelled, the body is already engaged in endometrial proliferation, laying the groundwork for a new one. The uterus, akin to an ever-prepared host, commences preparation for the prospect of a potential new guest. The shedding of the uterine lining is accompanied by menstrual bleeding, which typically spans between 3 to 7 days. This bleeding is a physiological aspect of the menstrual cycle and is not detrimental. It's the body's mechanism of maintaining the reproductive system in prime condition and readying it for potential of a future gestation. Concomitantly, while menstruation is in progress, the body isn't simply in a state of rest. Quite the contrary, it's already mobilizing for the subsequent phase of the cycle. The cessation of the menstrual phase is denoted by the commencement of the follicular phase, a period when the body initiates preparations for potential ovulation and conception. As one concludes, another unfolds. Concurrently, as menstruation transpires, the body is already laying the groundwork for the succeeding stage, the follicular phase. The menstrual cycle is an exquisitely orchestrated sequence of endocrine signals, preparation, and rejuvenation, all directed towards the possibility of engendering new life. Beginning with the inception of the menstrual cycle, the follicular phase, or as some may call it, the proliferative phase, emerges as a crucial stage. This phase marks the onset of menstruation on the first day of the cycle, laying the groundwork for the potential development of a new life. As we transition and delve deeper into the intricate specifics, we witness an instance of biological auditioning, the follicular phase. This phase witnesses the prolific activity of the body, which recruits an array of follicles in the ovary, each encapsulating an immature ovum or primary oocyte. This fascinating process of follicular recruitment is orchestrated by a quintessential hormone, the follicle-stimulating hormone, or FSH. Acting as the director of this complex biological play, FSH beckons the follicles to step into the limelight and initiate their proliferative journey. Transitioning into the next act, we encounter a fierce competition, survival of the fittest in its rawest form. Among the recruits, only a singular follicle, termed the Graafian follicle or antral follicle, outperforms the rest. Moving our focus to the Graafian follicle, we observe its transformation from being one among the crowd to emerging as the dominant follicle. Much like the lead character of a riveting drama, it continues its proliferative journey, the others in its wake. The Graafian follicle distinguishes itself, earning its passage to the subsequent phase of the cycle, ovulation. Those follicles that fail to make the cut degenerate and undergo atresia, leaving the Graafian follicle as the lone victor. Yet, transition into the next act reveals the Graafian follicle has no time to rest. It faces the monumental task of maturing and priming the oocyte for the potential of fertilization. As it continues to grow and develop, it undergoes a process of maturation, fueled by the persistent influence of FSH. This follicle isn't just the protagonist of this biological narrative, it's the linchpin in the intricate game of reproduction. The follicular phase, therefore, is a period of vigorous dynamism and growth, a time of rivalry and dominance, all under the vigilant supervision of the FSH. It's a phase that sets the stage for the subsequent events, preparing the body for the potential creation of new life. Transitioning into the final act of this phase, we are met with a high-stakes event, ovulation. It's a suspenseful cliffhanger, leaving us on the edge of our seats, eager to discover what transpires next in this captivating journey of the menstrual cycle. Ovulation, delineated as the liberation of the mature ovum, is a pivotal juncture in a woman's menstrual cycle. Let's plunge deeper into the scientific intricacies. Ovulation, under normal circumstances, eventuates around the 14th day of the cycle, and it signifies the climax of the follicular phase's earnest labor. It's an enthralling procedure wherein the mature ovum is discharged from the Graafian follicle, primed for the likelihood of fertilization. The protagonist of this event is a complex hormone, scientifically known as luteinizing hormone, or LH in common medical parlance. This hormone is the fulcrum in the menstrual cycle. The peak of estrogen levels acts as the trigger for an outpouring of LH from the anterior lobe of the pituitary gland. This surge in LH level is the stimulus for ovulation. It's analogous to the firing of the starting pistol in a sprint, notifying the ripe egg to emancipate itself from the follicle and embark on its journey. Let's envisage the Graafian follicle as a nurturing cocoon, harboring and maturing the ovum. As the LH level surges, the follicle ruptures, and the mature egg, or ovum, is cast off. This course of action is medically termed as ovulation. It's a cardinal moment, as this is when the ripened ovum becomes susceptible to fertilization. The emancipated ovum then voyages down the fallopian tube or the oviduct, advancing towards the uterus. It's here, in the very oviduct, that fertilization may occur contingent on the presence of a male gamete or a spermatozoa. However, the ovum doesn't loiter for long, it merely has approximately 24 hours to be fertilized before it disintegrates. Ovulation is an extraordinary process, an impeccable maneuver of endocrinal communications and physiological adaptations. It's a testament to the intricacies and astonishment of the human physiology. The menstrual cycle doesn't culminate here, though. The ruptured Graafian follicle metamorphoses into what we call the corpus luteum. Heralding the commencement of the subsequent post-ovulation, the menstrual cycle transitions into its terminal stage, the luteal phase. The luteal phase, a remarkable span of anticipation and potential metamorphosis in the menstrual cycle. This concluding act of the menstrual cycle brings forth a sequence of biologically significant phenomena, providing a fascinating insight into human reproduction. Let's delve deeper into the transformation of the Graafian follicle. After ovulation, the follicle that has released the egg doesn't merely cease its existence. Rather, it undergoes a dramatic transformation into a structure known as the corpus luteum. This metamorphic process is central to the luteal phase, signifying the commencement of a significant shift in hormonal balance. The corpus luteum, contrary to common perception, is not merely a passive byproduct of ovulation. It's a dynamic endocrine entity, primarily responsible for the synthesis of progesterone. This hormone is typically associated with pregnancy. However, it plays a pivotal role irrespective of conception. The primary function of progesterone is to prime the uterine lining for potential implantation of a zygote. It thickens the endometrium, the inner layer of the uterus, creating an environment rich in nutrients. This essentially preps the dinner table for a prospective guest, the fertilized ovum. In the event of successful implantation, progesterone facilitates the sustenance of this nurturing environment during the crucial initial stages of gestation. However, if implantation fails to occur, the corpus luteum has a limited span. It undergoes luteolysis approximately 14 days post-ovulation, unless rescued by a gestational hormone known as human chorionic gonadotropin or HCG. As the corpus luteum disintegrates, progesterone levels plummet, instigating the sloughing of the prepped uterine lining. This shedding is identified as menstruation, signifying the termination of the luteal phase and the initiation of a fresh menstrual cycle. This cyclical process can be likened to a monthly relay race within the body. Hormones pass the baton, structures undergo metamorphosis, and the body braces itself for potential gestation. In the absence of conception, the body simply resets and primes itself to re-engage in the race. And thus, the reproductive cycle renews, a testament to the intricate and dynamic nature of the human corpus. Embarking on a captivating voyage, we explore the menstrual cycle, an intricate web of events orchestrated with exceptional precision. The menstrual cycle, a wondrous journey, indicates the marvel of our reproductive system. We've delved profoundly into this complex process, from the initial event of desquamation of the endometrium during the menstrual phase, to the awe-inspiring development and ripening of the Graafian follicle during the follicular phase. It all commences with the proliferation of myriad follicles at the beckoning of follicle-stimulating hormone, FSH. Yet, it's the Graafian follicle alone that triumphs, persisting in maturation. This nurtures the oocyte in the making and discharges estrogen, priming the endometrium for a potential gravid state. Advancing along this journey, we've observed the dynamic upswing of luteinizing hormone, LH, a catalyst setting in motion ovulation. This event marks the grand entrance of the mature ovum for the possibility of fertilization. Succeeding ovulation, we've noted the metamorphosis of the follicle into the corpus luteum during the luteal phase. The corpus luteum, an ephemeral endocrine structure, secretes progesterone to furnish the endometrium, establishing readiness for potential embryo implantation. Each juncture, every transition, is steered by a harmonious concert of hormones, each of which is crucial for human reproduction. Estrogen, progesterone, follicle-stimulating hormone, and luteinizing hormone. Each hormone plays a cardinal role in this intricate ballet, underscoring the marvel of our biological framework. Our comprehension of the menstrual cycle static. It's dynamic and perpetually evolving, enriched by every breakthrough in research. Just as every cycle is unique to the individual, so too is our understanding of it, ceaselessly evolving and deepening with each new breakthrough.